قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this new episode of Ask Zad, coming to you every Saturday between Maghrib and Isha here in Mecca region. As usual, we'll take 3 of your questions from the emails, and then we will take your direct calls bi'idhnillahi azza wa jal. So our first question is from Muhammad, and he says, do spouses have the right to check their spouse's phones? Can a husband demand his wife to give all her passwords to him? Well, actually, marriages are based on trust. And if you're unable to trust your spouse, then love and subsequently marriage goes out of the window. Trust is what we base our relationships with one another, let alone between spouses. If I can't trust my neighbor, if I can't trust my partner, if I can't trust my colleague, then I'll be living in doubt and speculations, and whispers would eat me up inside out. Between the spouses, this has to be based on trust, meaning such a relationship. And it's not one of the husband's rights to demand the password, whether of the phone, the chat apps, or of the emails, or of the computer or the laptop, or the history of your browser, etc. This is something between an individual and Allah Azza wa Jal. So it is not permissible for a man to demand this. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam prohibited doubting others. As mentioned in the Quran, اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن. Avoid a lot of suspicion, because little of it is sinful. Because of this little, a lot of these suspicions that I'm getting must be avoided, because the vast majority of them are baseless. And the Prophet ﷺ prohibited spying, prohibited eavesdropping, prohibited trying to find the faults of people. And he said, whoever follows the faults of people trying to detect them, Allah will follow his own flaws and faults, and Allah would expose him, even if he is in the midst of his own home. Therefore, it is not permissible for a man or for a woman to demand the password of their spouses. And I am shocked and amazed by some of the women who surrender their rights to their husbands in a fashion that is more likely of a slave surrendering his or her right to their master. Some women are so submissive, they are more of a doormat rather than a spouse. She doesn't speak, she doesn't breathe, she doesn't make any move without the consent of her husband, and the husband plays the role of Simon Says. and he controls everything she does. And this is not a marriage. This is slavery. This is not something that should be praised or accepted, because such a relationship is sick, and it would inevitably lead to divorce and all the bad things that it may entail. So definitely one should try to rectify such an affair and reach a level of respect and communication, in addition to mutual trust. A brother says, if a man tells his wife to keep fit and clean, to lose weight and belly fat, as due to this he doesn't feel attracted sexually, but still she doesn't obey. There are too many beautiful skinny women out there that tempt him so much. What is the ruling on such a woman? And what advice would you give to both the man and the woman? This actually requires a lecture for both the man and his wife. Basically, ideally, the relationship between a man and wife should be based on love, on compassion, on mercy, on understanding one another, along with so many other aspects. A man should look fine to his wife. Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, used to take care of himself, groom himself. He used to wear perfumes, and when asked, he used to say, I like to look pleasant to my wife as I like her to look pleasant to me. So it's something mutual. A woman must take care of herself, must beautify herself. It's a must, it's an obligation, so that she would help her husband lower his gaze and manages to satisfy him to the best of her ability, within her ability. And this is something everyone can do. Likewise, a man has to look sharp, has to clean himself, has to be fit physically. He has to also take care of his belly fat. He has to take care of things that may make his woman unpleasant or unsatisfied with him, such as the smell of his beard, the smell of his body. Some men don't shower except once every 2 or 3 days. This is wrong. Some brothers have, like they say, some brothers have odor. These brothers have, oh dear. That's just, whoa. No, you have to take care of your hygiene, of your body odor. Take a shower once or twice a day, so that your wife would find you pleasant. And likewise, she must do the same. There has to be mutual understanding. There has to be reciprocation. Now, your claim that there are so many skinny women out there who appeal to me, this means that you're not fearing Allah, that you're sending your gaze left, right, and center. And if she got skinny, in the future would say, I would like you to gain some weight. And if she gains some weight, I'd like you to reduce your weight. What is this? You're interested in a supermodel. And even if you have a supermodel, you look for a brunette or a blonde or someone who's shorter or taller. This is why Allah tells us to lower your gaze. This is an indication that you don't have content in your heart. And the Prophet said, ﷺ, if the son of Adam had a valley of gold, he would acquire a second. And if he had 2 valleys of gold, how rich can you be? 2 valleys of pure gold, he would acquire a third. And nothing fills the belly, in a narration, the mouth, in another narration, the eye of a son of Adam, except dust. This is when he dies. So my advice to the man, try to be diplomatic with your wife. Hit the gym first and lead by example. Look in the mirror, ya akhi. MashaAllah, do you think you are? Arnold Schwarzenegger? Mr. Universe? If you want Miss Universe, you have to be Mr. Olympia. So you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. You can't demand your wife to be something when you yourself are not even as close. But at the same time, be content with what Allah has given you, because so many are deprived. If you hate something in her looks, there are so many things that may please you. Her cooking, her caring of your children, her caring of your parents, being nice to her in-laws, being modest, being practicing, being knowledgeable, all of these compensate for her looks if she is as bad as you claim. So be content and be grateful to Allah Azza wa Jal. Finally, Suhail says, why do we not say Bismillah before reciting Surah At-Tawbah? Surah At-Tawbah is chapter number 9 in the Quran. And the most authentic opinion is that every single verse or a group of verses that used to be revealed to the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet himself used to command the companions to put it with the following verses, or in the following surah, or in that place, or in that other place. Every single ayah that was revealed, it was upon the command of the Prophet ﷺ that it would be placed in a particular order. Now, when Ibn Abbas asked Uthman, may Allah be pleased with them, about Surah At-Tawbah, if you notice, there are 114 surah or chapters in the Quran. 113 of them begin with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Only Surah At-Tawbah does not have Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in the beginning. So Ibn Abbas asked Uthman, why? And in conclusion, it was the Prophet ﷺ who used to tell them, separate between this surah and that surah with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. But when it came to chapter 9, Surah At-Tawbah, the Prophet did not order them ﷺ to put it. So some companions thought that it should be connected to Surah Al-Anfal. And others said that no, it is not. And the vast majority agreed, and this was the consensus of the companions from their time till date, that Surah Al-Anfal, chapter 8, is a separate chapter than chapter 9, Surah At-Tawbah, and there is no Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim dividing between them. Why? Because the Prophet did not tell them, alayhi salatu wasalam, and this is the most authentic opinion. Not that it is a chapter that exposes the hypocrites. Not that because it's a chapter that includes a lot of punishment and torment of the hypocrites and the disbelievers. These are all speculations, nothing to back them up. The most authentic opinion is the Prophet did not say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim to be placed in the beginning, so it was not placed, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Zainuddin from the UK. Zainuddin.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Good, long time no see, Sheikh Assim Al-Hakeem.
Well, you have to check your eyesight because I come twice a week. If you open YouTube, you will see me, inshallah.
I understand that. Okay, now let's get down to the chase. My question, today's question is related to commission. So, I give you an example. I am a hat maker, and someone comes and says to me, Zinedine, I'd like you to make me a hat. In this case, I say to him, okay, pay me the money. This is how much money needed for the hat, the design, etc., etc. You pay this to me, and I will make the hat for you, and I will get it to you by a certain date. So I take hat commission. Is this allowed? And Sheikh Asim, also, my second scenario is what the pharmaceutical companies do, wherein they say that you pay us this, and we will give you invitation to seminars, etc., etc., if you pay this amount for a certain price or this or that.
I don't understand your second question.
I'm saying, in the pharmaceutical company, they say that if you write this antibiotic, and they will give you invitations to seminars, you get the commission based on this.
Okay, I understand. First of all, what you're asking about the hat making, this is not a commission. You are delivering a product, and you're asking the person to pay you up in advance for that product, whether it's a hat or a cup or any type of tailor-made merchandise for this person. So if you ask for money in advance, or you produce that product and then collect the money afterwards, there's no problem and there's no commission in that at all. This is what you're getting for what you're making. And this is known as istisna', when you make something. Drop shipping, when we said that bay'u salam, is different because you're selling something you don't have and you're not going to make. Istisna' is when you do something, you're producing something, you're manufacturing something. Bay'u salam is when someone comes and says, I'd like your mug. And I say, okay, look at this mug. These are the measurements. This is the material it's made of. You like it? He says, yes. He said, pay me in advance and I'll deliver it to you on Saturday. So he pays me up full, and then I go and buy it from elsewhere and provide it for him. This is bay'u salam, and both are okay. As for your question regarding the bribe or the commission that pharmaceutical gives to companies give to a drugstore owner or a physician, we've stated this before, that if you're working for the owner of the pharmacy or for a clinic, you're getting paid for that. So anything you get from the pharmaceutical companies would be considered as a bribe. Muhammad from the Philippines. Oh, we have someone else. I apologize. So we have Adil from the US.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah.
So I have a question about my brother. So my father died a few years ago. He had almost 40 children. And his inheritance, they decided, because there are so many children, that they were going to keep it the way it is, rent some out to make some money to take care of the little children. He left 4 wives as well. But my question is, like 3 of my brothers, one of them is having financial trouble. Actually, 3 of them. And they always borrow money from the bank with riba. He has 3 wives and so many children. He doesn't know how to manage money. Family members have tried to help him out, but things are not getting any better. Same thing with the other brother. He has 6 children. Things are not really, he doesn't know how to manage money, because when my father was alive, he used to bail them out when they borrow money. And the other brother too doesn't know how to manage money. So can I give them zakat money? Because right now we have money that we want to use for, we sold our house. So we have a lot of money to give zakat this year. So can I give them that money to help them out, or because of the inheritance, they're not eligible for zakat?
First of all, in order to give zakat money, we have to ensure that the recipient falls under one of the 8 categories mentioned in verse 60, chapter 9, Surah At-Tawbah. The first 2 of these 8 categories are al-fuqara wal-masakin, which is the poor and the needy. The poor who are flat stone broke. So if they have lunch, they may not have dinner. If they have dinner, they may not have breakfast. So they're really broke. The poor are people who are a little bit better off. They have food, they have a shelter, but they don't have what sustains a decent level of living. So they need a car to go from point A to B to commute for their work. And the car is broke and they don't have money to fix it. They're not poor, but they need financial assistance. They have food, they have a house, but they don't have money to pay the medical bills or the electricity bill or to take the children to school. And these are necessities, but it's not like someone who's poor and is dying. So they are eligible for zakat. So if your brother falls under these two categories and he can be classified as poor, how do we know that he's poor? He doesn't have enough money to carry him on to the end of the month where he receives his paycheck. So he receives maybe $5,000 a month. But he has a big family, a lot of rent to pay, and a lot of bills. So by the 15th of the month, he's flat. So he's asking people for loans and to borrow. Not that he's squandering money left, right, and center. Rather, he is in need. He deserves to be given from zakat. The second issue is that you are not obliged to provide for him. So if I have a son, no, it's my duty to provide for him. I can't give him from zakat even if he's broke. If I have a father or a mother, in this case, it's my obligation. But in your case, you're not going to inherit him. He's not going to inherit you. You can give him from zakat without any problem, inshallah. Muhammad from the Philippines. Muhammad. Okay, Faizan from India.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Rahimallahu walidayk wa ghafarallahu lak.
Wa lakum.
So, Sheikh, my question was, sometimes while going to sujood, if I start saying the dhikr of sujood accidentally before my head touches the ground, do I need to do sujood as-sahu?
No need for that, inshallah. Okay, Arsalan from the US.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, so in the prayer at my school, either I lead or my friend does. My friend has memorized more Quran than me, but he is Shia. He has also said words that imply that Aisha radiyallahu anha is a munafiq. He said that only munafiqs hate Ali, and then he was arguing that Aisha hates Ali. And then I confronted him, do you believe Aisha is a munafiq? And he said, and he denied such. He has also tried to spread his Shia beliefs publicly, and I worry that he one day might give a khutbah trying to spread such beliefs. Am I obligated to oppose him, to try and be the imam myself or someone else, even though he has memorized more Quran than me? I don't want to be arrogant. What should I tell the others?
I don't know. This is something that you're claiming, and if you don't have proof that backs it up, I don't know what you should do, because maybe you're lying. Maybe he didn't say these things. Maybe you are speculating things. Such beliefs usually become public. If a person holds such a belief, usually everyone around him knows this about him. So you don't have to go out of your way to expose him. Everybody talks that, yes, he said ill things about Mother Aisha. Yes, he's trying to praise Shia and their mullahs and their weird fatwas and their corrupt aqidah. So if this is the case, then the answer would be definitely all those who follow the Quran and the Sunnah must not pray or accept him to pray or lead their prayer, even if he's a hafiz. Someone with such a corrupt aqidah that is known to everyone must not be allowed to lead. So you or anyone else could do this, and you should make people aware of it, inshallah. Yasin from Bangladesh.
Sheikh.
Salamtullah.
Sheikh, my question is, a popular sheikh has a YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel has 1.1 million subscribers. You know, it's huge. So he uploads some videos like about death, about afterlife, about many things like the seerah of Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, but in some his video he upload or he say about government, about Taghut government, which are ruled by man-made law. So he said that it is totally prohibited to live in those countries which are ruled by man-made law. So can I watch his video, which are created by his voice?
Where does this guy live?
In I think in Saudi or in Qatar.
Okay, I'll answer you, inshallah. Yasin talks about someone I don't know and I don't want to know. And this guy has many followers. He's famous. He's got 1 point something on YouTube, million followers. And he uploads beneficial videos sometimes about the seerah, about the life of the Prophet ﷺ, about the companions, about the Day of Judgment, about the hereafter. It's many good things. But at the same time, he speaks ill about Muslim rulers. So can we watch and learn from this channel? The answer is no. If you have food or drinks and someone puts poison in it, it tastes good. And it might be good, but it has poison in it. Such people who speak ill publicly about Muslim rulers are from the Khawarij. Okay, Sheikh, this is very wide and broad. Simply, Khawarij, Akhi, what's their objective? Is it to fix things or to make things worse? Look at the consequences. Look at what will happen. Look at what had happened when people came and started talking ill about Muslim rulers. They're not infallible. They're human beings. They might be corrupt. They might be the worst of people. But to have a tyrant ruler is better than to be without any ruler for one day. To have a tyrant ruler for 70 years is better than to be without a ruler for one day. This is what the Salaf used to say, because the unity of the Ummah comes first. Yes, he may use man-made laws. This is a big problem. And it's an issue of dispute whether it's related to conviction or not. If he believes that the Quran and the Sunnah are the ultimate and they must be followed and nothing comes close to them, and yet he still puts man-made laws, this is a very major sin. But we don't take him out of the fold of Islam. When you come publicly and start tarnishing his reputation, discrediting him, humiliating him, insulting him, what would this cause in the hearts of laymen, normal people? Uprising, protest, chaos, killing, widespread violence. And we see this in so-called democratic Muslim countries, whenever a government is overthrown or they change powers, and when the row happens between the parliament and the government and the opposition, and look what's happening to that country. It's being devastated. It's being ruined. And the enemies of Islam are happy. They're having a blast. The best time of their lives. Many Arab countries, the people used to travel. They used to go to schools. They used to eat, drink, and live. Yes, there was oppression. There was a great deal of injustice, but they used to live a normal life after these uprisings. And such people tarnishing their reputation on YouTube and causing people to revolt and to rebel. What happened? Now the people have passports that have no value. No country accepts them for a visit. They don't have food on their tables. They don't have a roof on their heads. They're scattered in refugee camps, and they're swimming and sailing across the Mediterranean, risking their lives and their children's lives for a decent life. 10 years ago, they had that decent life. So we look at the bigger picture, not about what's right and what's wrong in your perspective, rather what has to be done after referring to real scholars of Islam, not to such YouTubers or celebrities on social media who know nothing. The amount of followers does not mean a thing. You could be someone followed by 60 million. Does this make you even a respected human being? No. Like most celebrities in the West, disbelievers, nude, immoral, and they have done everything in the book that's against morality and religion. How many followers do we have? In the millions. Does it change anything? No. They're still the scum of the earth. So don't look at the number of the followers. Look at what a person preaches. Is it in accordance to the Quran and the Sunnah with the understanding of the favorite three generations, the Sahaba, the Tabi'een, and the Tabi'een? If yes, then go ahead and learn from such a person. Muhammad from India. Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Is it true that our forehead should completely touch the ground during sujood in prayers? And if something comes between a forehead and the ground, for example, people who have long hair, their hair might come between the forehead and the ground. So this will invalidate the prayer. So because of this, people advise to wear a cap during Salah. Is it true?
First of all, what they say is not true. See, what I'm wearing on my head, if I prostrate, I would prostrate on that. Would it be permissible? The answer is yes. And if I take it off and pray straight on my forehead, would that be permissible? Definitely yes. So if there is a barrier, it is not part of the prayer to pray with such a barrier like the Shia do. Some of the Shia may carry a stone. They say it's from Karbala, and they prostrate on it. Did the Prophet ever pray on such a thing? No. Some of them say, no, it's not a stone. It's a piece of nature. So it's a piece of wood, or a piece of clay, or maybe a piece of, I don't know, marble. Either way, did the Prophet ever carry such a thing? Or he prayed on whatever was available? Wasn't he the one who said, وَجُعِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ لِي مَسْجِدًا وَطَهُورًا? Allah has made the whole earth for me a place of worship and a means of purification. This is what the Prophet said. So to claim that if there's something between my forehead and the ground, my prayer is invalid, is totally bogus. The companions, as in the Sahih, authentic hadith, used to prostrate on their sleeves and on their clothes to avoid the heat of the sun when they prostrate. There's nothing wrong in that. And sometimes they would do that on the tip of their turbans. Again, there's nothing wrong in that, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah we'll be right back.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we're going to talk about the book Interactions of the Greatest Leader. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam trained his companions to be modest. Hakim bin Hizam, may Allah be pleased with him, said, I asked the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he gave me. Then I asked him another 2 times, and each time he gave me. Then he sallallahu alaihi wasallam told me, O Hakim, this life is green and beautiful. So whoever takes it without greed or persisting on asking for it will have blessing in it. And whoever takes it while making it close to their heart will not have blessing in it. They will be like the one who eats without becoming full. The hand that is higher, giving the poor, is better than the one that is lower, receiving from others. So I said, O Messenger of Allah, by him who has sent you with the truth, I will never ask anyone for money until I die. Afterwards, Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, called Hakim, may Allah be pleased with him, in order to give him, but he refused to take. And the same with Umar. So Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, said, O Muslims, you are my witness that I have offered some of this booty to Hakim, but he refused to take it. Hakim did not take money from anyone after the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam until he died. Reported by Al-Bukhari and Muslim.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back. We have Adikunal from Nigeria. Adikunal. Okay, Aisha from Japan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So, Sheikh, recently I read a hadith which is narrated by At-Tabarani, and it says the Prophet ﷺ said, the beloved prayer of a woman inside of Allah is the one she performs in the darkest place in her house. I would like to know whether this hadith is authentic, and is it better for us to pray in dark places? Jazakallahu khairan.
Wa jazakum. We've talked about the ruling on praying in darkness, and we said that this is not a sunnah, and it depends on the environment, because the Prophet ﷺ has prayed in darkness, total darkness, and that was done so that he would not bother his wives while they were asleep. But if there is a chance of endangering oneself due to insects or harmful things that may crawl in front of him without him seeing this, then definitely turning on the lights would be a plus. Now, is there a hadith recommending that a woman prays in a dark place? The answer is no. There is a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ was comparing things and highlighting to one of his female companions who was so eager to join him in prayer in the Masjid of Medina. And we know that the Masjid of Medina is a sacred place. A prayer in it is equivalent to 1,000 prayers elsewhere other than the Masjid of Mecca, Al-Haram. So anyone with little math would say that, okay, praying in Medina is 1,000 times better. I should try my level best to pray. So this woman wanted to join the Prophet ﷺ in prayers. So he said to her, I know that you love to pray in my masjid. Let it be known that your prayer in your house is better than praying in my masjid. So this is a clear indication that a woman should offer her prayers in her house. Then the Prophet went on to go tighter and tighter to show how much it's best for a woman to conceal her prayers from the outsiders. So he went from her house to the inner house to the inner chamber of her own bedrooms. So the more it's concealed, the better it is at the sight of Allah. It has nothing to do with darkness. It has to do with staying away from men who are non-mahram watching her. And of course, this, if it's in the middle of her house, it does the job. But the Prophet is giving us an example of how best it is for a woman to be concealed from places where men could see her. And Allah knows best. Farouk from Qatar.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah.
So, in my home country of Pakistan, there are many Barelvi masjids in my area in which the muezzin, before giving the adhan, says Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. Then he says Assalamu alayka ya Nurullah. So if I don't know if the Imam there believes that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the literal light of Allah, then would it be permissible to pray behind him without asking him about his aqidah, as it's possible that he believes Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the Mi'navi light of Allah, or must I ask him what he believes before like praying behind him?
Generally speaking, Barelvis are not following the methodology and the aqeedah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and they have grave mistakes. And some of these mistakes can take someone out of the fold of Islam. We don't say that they're out of the fold of Islam. Those who say these things that make them out of the fold of Islam, and we clarify it to them and we show them the evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah, and they insist. In this case, it's a different story. But generally speaking, would I pray in a Barelvi masjid? Never. Why would I? I'd rather pray in a normal masjid. I'd pray in my hotel room rather than going to a place where I know they have grave mistakes. One of them, which you have mentioned, that the Prophet ﷺ was not created from clay like everyone else. He was created from the light of Allah. And this by itself is blasphemous to say such a thing. Now, some of them may water it down and say, no, we did not mean this, we meant that, and this and that. But again, this is something that was not said neither in the Quran or in the Sunnah. And claiming such a heinous claim is unbelievable, unspeakable, and should be not slip. So definitely do not pray there, go somewhere else, and inshallah, or look for other Muslims who follow the aqeedah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah and pray with them. Suad from Switzerland.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. I'm fine. Jazakumullah khair.
So I live far from my parents by myself since my separation with my ex-husband, and I have cats. When my parents visited me, they didn't like the fact that I had cats, but they knew about it. I didn't hide it from them. And my dad threatened me to either I had to throw the cats or he would stop reaching out to me or talking to me. So what I did is that I gave up the cats, but I didn't do anything haram. So I don't know, was my dad right to threaten me for cats? I don't know.
First of all, unfortunately, some parents push their children to be undutiful, to be disobedient. They push their children to fall in hellfire when they ask for things that are not logical. Now, if the cats are not harming your son or daughter, and they find comfort in having them as pets, and when you know that the Prophet ﷺ told us about cats roaming in the homes as being part of those who roam upon you. And some of the companions like Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, had a pet cat. So what's wrong in that? Why do you go overboard to such extreme and threaten your own child that you'll not be coming to visit unless she gets rid of such an animal without any legitimate reason? Yes, if the father has allergy, I can understand. And if the girl is being harmed by having such a pet for any reason, I can understand. But if it's just because he doesn't like cats, and Simon says, "Wallahi, this is problematic." Some of the parents will be questioned on the day of judgment for their ill treatment of their children. Some parents think that they are free to do whatever they want. Their children are their own property. They can sell them, they can throw them away, they can do whatever they want. This is not right. Nevertheless, what you have done by trying to please your father and allocating a better place for your cat is something good, inshallah, and you'll not be sinful for that, and Allah knows best. Hamza from the UK.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
May Allah reward you with good, Sheikh.
And you as well, barakallah feek.
Wa feekum. Sheikh, am I allowed to ask 2 questions or only one?
Only one, please.
Oh, okay, no problem. So my question is, Sheikh, I'm acting as a freelance, a self-employed agent for a manufacturer in China who they make custom signs for different businesses. So I cold call different businesses asking if they're interested, and then I receive their money if they want to place an order, and I place an order for them with the manufacturer, and then I keep my share as the agent. So my question is, the product includes a 2-year guarantee for free replacements in case anything malfunctions on its own within that first 2 years. So at what point am I allowed to spend my profits that I get as the agent and avail myself of responsibility for the transaction? Is it as soon as the order is placed, or after they receive the product, or after the 2 years once that guarantee window is closed? Barakallahu feekum.
Ufikum barakallah feek. Akhi, this depends on the agreement between you and the Chinese company, or the Bangladeshi company, or the Malaysian company, whatever company you are representing. So if the agreement with them is the moment I secure an order and I send you the money and I keep my commission, which is agreed upon, you're not taking something that's not yours without their knowledge. No, they're allocating 10% for you as a commission. I receive 100 quid, I keep 10, I send them 90. And they are all fine with that. And my agreement with them is that if anything were to happen, within these 2 years, you will replace that product. I am not liable in front of the customers. The customers can sue you directly because most likely you don't have a legal representation of that company in the UK. And therefore, if there is a disagreement, they would go directly to them. If this is the case, the moment you secure the deal and receive the money and you get your commission, your deal is done. Whatever happens afterwards, you have no problem in that, inshallah. Fuad from Bangladesh.
Assalamu عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته شيخ.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله يحفظكم شيخ.
وأنتم.
Ameen. So Sheikh, in the masjid where I pray, the Imam of that masjid often makes serious mistakes while reciting the Quran on the congregational prayer. Yani, he recites the verses by omitting some words. For example, if he wants to recite the verse, قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد. Then he recites something like قل أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد. Instead of reciting قل إنما أنا, he says قل أنا. So now my question is, how do we correct him as a muqtadi in that situation? Barakallahu feek.
وفيكم بارك الله. The moment the Imam makes such a serious mistake by omitting or changing a word of the Quran, you must correct him on the spot. So the moment he says this, you raise your voice by saying قل إنما, and he says قل أنا بشر, said قل إنما أنا بشر, and he should know this. If he doesn't listen and continues, leave him, and after the prayer is over, you go and talk to him seriously and say, listen, if you don't memorize the ayah well, don't read it. As simple as that. However, such a mistake does not invalidate the prayer. Such a mistake is possible. Maybe he forgot, maybe he made an error. So you correct him as he is reciting the ayah wrongly, you correct him on the spot. If he doesn't listen, then you may address that at the end of the prayer, insha'Allah azza wa jal. This is all the time we have for today's episode. Until we meet tomorrow, insha'Allah, at 4 o'clock, Makkah region time, I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين.